Thank you very much. Let me welcome you to MedZone African Motives. We are on Business Studies grade 10, Term 1, revision for the paper which was written in Eastern Cape. This paper was written in Eastern Cape. Remember, we did the one that was written in KwaZulu-Natal and Limpopo. So now we are on the one which was written in Eastern Cape. So this paper was written in 10 March 2025. So we are going to make our preparation with this question paper as to try by all means to fully prepare for our term 1 test that you are going to write. So that is that, good people. So let's quickly go straight to the instructions and information. So instructions and information, it says read the following instructions carefully before you answer the questions. The first instruction is about that the question paper consists of 3 sections and covers all main topics. That is section A, section B, and section C. You remember very well that section C is an essay question. So already it is done. So meaning we are going to focus on these 2 sections, A, which is compulsory, and B, or that is that. So B, it consists of 3 questions, and you are to answer 2 of 3 questions in this section. So that is that. But as we will try by all means to answer them all, we will answer all those questions in section B. So instruction number 2, read the instruction for each question carefully and take note of what is required. Instruction number 3, number the answers correctly according to the numbering system used in this question paper. No marks will be awarded for answers that are numbered incorrectly. Very important instructions. Make sure that your numbering is correct so that you won't lose marks because of numbering. Except where other instructions are given, answers must be written in full sentences. Use mark allocation and nature of each question to determine the length and depth of an answer. So instruction number 6, use the table below as a guide for marks and time allocation when answering each question. So this is the table that we are just talking about. You just go through this table, it will guide you. So now instruction number 7, it's about begin answers. Begin the answers to each question on a new page. For example, question 1, new page, 2, new page. So instruction number 8, you may use non-programmable calculator. And the last instruction number 9, you are to write neatly and legibly. So let's quickly go to section A, which you know very well that is compulsory. So our section A is a multiple questions. So 1.1 says various options are provided as possible answers to the following questions. Choose the answer and write only letter A to D next to the question number. 1.1.1 to 1.1.5. So 1.1.1 says role of trade union is to, then we are given 4 options. So we are given 4 options whereby we are to come up with the correct answer. Role of trade union is to, so the role of a trade union, as you can go through these options, you can see that the role of a trade union is to protect the interest of its members. Meaning to say the correct answer is C. The correct answer is C. You know very well that trade unions advocate for workers' rights. They negotiate better wages, working conditions, and benefits on behalf of its members. So that is a correct. C is correct. So now let us go to 1.12, which says the dash capital is money provided by the owners of the business. So we are given these 4 options where we're given working, owned, fixed, and borrowed. And the correct answer is B, owned capital. Owned capital. So owned capital is the funds or assets owned by business or individual used for investment or operations. So that is that. The correct answer is B. Now let us move on to 1.13, which says a business enterprise has no control over the business. The business control has no control over the dash. So we're given these four options: macro, business environment, employees, macro, business environment, marketing function. And the correct answer there on 1.3 is C, macro environment. Macro environment, which is found externally outside the business. It is found externally outside business and it is indirectly. So the correct answer is macro. So business has no control at all on macro business environment. So that is external factors beyond the business control. We can talk of government policies, we can talk of economy, we can talk of laws, social trends that impact operations. The business has no control over that. So 1.14, the dash ensures that tactical decisions are carried out. So we're giving low-level managers, top-level, middle-level manager, and low and top-level managers. So the correct answer there is C, middle-level managers on 1.14. So middle-level managers are they take what? Tactical decisions. Those are managers who implement strategies set by top management. So the making operational decisions to achieve goals. So that is a correct answer. Top, middle level management. That is that. So 1.15, the last one, it says the business function is directly involved in the sales of manufactured products. Manufactured product in a company. So we're given marketing, production, human resource, and finance. And the correct answer is marketing. Marketing function. So they function in a sale of products. They function in a sale of product. So those are activities to promote and sell products or services, understanding customers' needs, pricing, distribution, and advertising. So the finished products or those manufactured products, they are directly involved in the sale. The function that fit there is marketing function. So that is that. So now let's quickly go to 1.2. So 1.2 is a matching question. As it says, choose the description in column B. This is column B. That matches a term in column A. This is a column A. These are the terms in column A. Write only the letter next to the question number 1.21 to 1.25. So let us attend to that question, the matching question. So 1.1 says lower level management. That is the term that we're given in column A. So we want a description that is going to match this lower level. And you can see that if you go through all these descriptions, you can see that the I matches 1.21. This is I. The lower level managers or make what short-term decisions. They don't make long-term decisions. Long-term decisions are made on the top management. So the correct answer there is I. I is correct. So it matches the lower level managers. So now coming to 1.22, it talks about administration function. So administration function, you can go through all this description and see which description matches the administration function. And you can see F do matches what? Administration function. F. Administration functions is responsible for collecting, storing, and distributing business information. So they store, they collect information, so that is that they process information. So F is correct answer. So 1.23, National Consumer Protection. So let us go through descriptions and see which description do match this item, National Consumer Protection. So Consumer Protection Act. So we can see that 1.23 is H. So the H do a match that. as it says, this act introduced to prevent consumer from exploitation by business. So national consumer protection protects what consumer by being exploited by the business. So the H is the correct answer. Economic environment. So economic environment, then we go through the descriptions and you can see economic environment that G becomes a correct answer because economic environment that this, it refers to the factors that influence in buying habits of consumers and business. So that is why we're saying J is a correct answer. J is correct answer. J is correct answer. So that is that. So 1.25 quality assurance. So we want to see the discipline that do match quality assurance, and you can see that um, quality assurance B can match. Sorry, not B or whatever. The correct answer there is A. Correct answer is A because a quality assurance is that inspection is carried out during and after production process. So these are our answers for 1.2, and we are to move on to section B now. Now we are to move on to section B, where it says answer 2 questions, but we have said we are going to answer all questions in this section. So the first question says, name any 4 organizational resources. Name any 4 organizational resources. 4 organizational resources. So let's quickly go to our answers there. Let's go to our answers. So here are our organizational resources. So here are our organizational resources, financial or capital resource. So you know when you talk of finance or capital resources, that is a money available to start or run the business. For example, we can talk of cash, we can talk of loans, we can even talk of investment. So that is that. So human resources is one of the organizational resources. So with human resources, we are talking about the employees who perform tasks, use other resources to achieve goals. So that is that. For example, skilled accountants prepare financial statements. That is a human resource function. But coming to physical or natural resources. So with physical or natural resources, we're talking of tangible assets such as buildings, equipment, raw materials, and rent. So those are the tangible resources. Technological resources or a technical resource. So here we're talking about technology. We're talking of systems and specialized knowledge used to improve operations. So we can talk of using accounting software to record transaction accurately. So that is that. That is 2.1. Now let us go to 2.2. 2.2, it says, read the scenario below and answer the questions. So here is our scenario. Star Travel Agency. Star Travel Agency provides transport services for local tours. She has a vision to expand her business to become national travel agency. Fast Travel Agency is one of the Star Travel Agents' strong competitors because they offer tours at 50% discounts if their services are used. So that is that. So the questions now, it says identify components of 2 business environments in the scenario above. Identify components of the business environments in the scenario above. So you can see here we have vision. We have competitors. That is that. So as we can see here on our answers, we have what? We have vision, we have competitor as our components. These are the components. So the business environment is micro as well as market. Why are we saying a vision? A vision because the vision we know very well that Vision forms part of the internal environment because it's created and controlled by management. So let us now go there and then see the vision as we are saying the component here is vision. As we are saying, the component here is a vision. You see, it is said Star Travel agency provide transport service for local tours. She has a vision to expand her business to become what? A national travel agency. So that is why we're saying this is our component in the micro environment. Hope you understand that point. So also we have what? Competitors as what? Competitor as a component. Competitor. So we know competitor is a component of what? Of the competitor is what is found in as well as in micro environment. Is found in a market environment. Sorry, it is found in a market environment. Competitor is a market environment, while this vision is micro. Vision is micro. We are saying a vision is what? It's a micro and the competitor is a market. Because you know competitors operate in the market environment and directly affect business ability to attract customers. So that is that. So now we asked about what the business environments. We asked also about what business environment. So as we can see, our business environment is micro as well as market. So that is micro as well as market, like we have already said that vision is micro, as a competitor is a market. Hope we understand that. So this is what we are talking about. So now let us go to 2.3 now. 2.3 read as follows. Differentiate between management and leadership. Differentiate between management and leadership. So now let us go straight to the answers. So here we are on 2.3 management and there is a leadership. As it says, management guides behavior. Management guides behavior. So management guides behavior through formal authority. For example, a manager instructs staff to follow company procedures. That is always in the guide behavior. Also, management communicates through management functions. That is, for example, line function. So they communicate through management functions like can talk of planning again, organizing, leading, and controlling. So they as well prepare a production schedule and allocate what task. So that is that. They also administer as management. They plan programs. They plan programs, tasks to reach what targets. So, for example, the implementing a monthly sales plan. So that is that. Also, they control systems and procedures to get the job done. So that is that. They can do that by monitoring attendance register, for example. A person becomes a manager because he or she is appointed in a position. So appointed to a position of authority. So an employee, for example, is promoted to a branch manager. So that is that. So now we can come to the leadership now. As it says, leadership influences human behavior. So the influences what human behavior, for example, inspires employees to work harder through motivation. Also, leaders do communicate by means of interaction, behavior, vision, and values or charisma. So it means that they communicate through interaction, vision, and values. So, for example, they share a clear future goal during team meetings. So that is that. Also, leaders encourage new ideas to increase productivity. So, encourage innovation and new ideas. So they can support employees who suggest new marketing strategies. That is that. Inspire staff to trust and support each other. So they inspire trust and teamwork. for example, builds cooperation between departments. They make sure that there is a cooperation between various departments. Leaders are born with natural, instinctive leadership skills. So we are saying leaders are born. Leaders are born with natural, instinctive, and as well as leadership skills. So that is that. So now let us move on to another question. Let us move on to another question. So now we are to explain the purpose of organizational culture. So let's quickly explain the purpose of organizational culture. Purpose of organizational culture. Okay, sorry, let us just finish off these answers for 2.3, where we are still differentiating management and leadership. So management also, they are task-oriented. They are task-oriented. So, for example, they focus on meeting daily output targets. They as well manage by planning, organizing, leading, and control. So that is that they manage by organizing, leading, and control. So they plan a budget, organize staff, leads, and then as well as control expenses. That's what it means. So now coming to leadership, now leadership, or they are people leader. Leaders are people oriented. They are people oriented. For example, they focus on employee well-being and moral. Also motivation and inspirational in their approach. So that when you are saying they lead also by example, trust and respect. So that is that. So now we can move on to the 2.4 now. Purpose of the organizational culture. So here we are on purpose of organizational culture. So as it says, the first point is said, it refers to the personality of the organization and business. So it refers to the personality of the organization. For example, a company known for innovation and creativity. So that is that. Organizational culture is made up of different beliefs, values, expectations of everyone who works in the business. So it means that we are saying it consists of shared beliefs, values, and expectation. For example, employees value punctuality and professionalism. That is that. So influences the way people in the organization interact with one another and with stakeholders. So influences actions and attitudes. So it influences in what? We are saying it influences, so we are saying it influences interaction with stakeholders. For example, staff treat customers politely due to service culture. That is that. So also it influences people, actions, and attitude. So here, that's when you're talking about the influences on actions and attitudes. For example, employees willingly assist colleagues. So that is that. Business internal and external identity is defined as well as its core values. So here we are talking about where we define internal and external identity and core values. For example, a business promotes honesty as a core value. So that is that. A strong business culture has power to turn employees into ambassadors of the business. So here we are saying we turn employees into ambassadors. So, for example, staff promote a company positively on social media. So that is when the staff or employees, they can talk good about the business. So that is that. Now they are the ambassadors of the business. It helps business to retain its employees and clients. So it helps business to retain employees and clients. So that is that. A supportive culture reduces staff turnover. So the organization, the employees are going to be loyal to the business. It breaks down boundaries between teams and guides decision making and improves productivity. So here we are saying it breaks down the team boundaries and improves productivity. So that is when departments collaborate to complete projects faster. So that is that. So now we are to go to question 3 now. We are to attend to question 3. So here we are on question 3. So question 3 says, mention 3 factors that influence the organizational structure of a business. Mention 3 factors that influence the organizational structure of a business. So that is that. So here are our 3 factors that influence organizational structure of a business: the size of the company, technology, resources, strategic goals of the company. So the size of the company, that is, larger business require more levels of management. That is true. That is true. A national retailer has a regional managers. For example, technology now, advanced technology may require specialized departments. That is, for example, an IT department manages business systems. That is that. Resources now, availability of resources affects structure, design. So, for example, limited finances result in fewer management levels. So, strategic goals of the company. So, structure must support long-term objectives. That is that. So, now let us come to 3.2, which says, identify the business functions applicable to each of the following statements. So, 3.1, they oversee the activities of other functions so that the business achieve its objectives. 3.22, they are responsible for creating and maintaining a positive public image. 3.23, the process of converting raw materials into finished goods. So that is that. So here we are on 3.2. So 3.21 is general management. 3.21 is general management, where we're told that the first statement says they oversee the activities of other functions so that they can achieve its objectives. So general managers are the one who oversees the activities of other functions. So general management is responsible for overall planning and decision making. So they think for the entire organization. Get that straight. So 3.22 is a public relation because it says they are responsible for creating and maintaining positive public image. That is public relations. So we know very well public relations manages communication and image of the business. That is that. Then 3.23 is production, as it says, the process of converting raw materials into finished goods. That is production. Production department, they are responsible for creating goods or services. So now let us quickly go to 3.3, where we are asked to read the scenario. 3.3 read as follows. Read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. So the scenario is about Jali Trading, JT. Sharon works for JT, a leading clothing retailer. She was promoted from supervisor to administration manager. She is now in charge of 30 people in her department. So the question now, 3.31, says, identify Sharon's new management level. She was promoted from supervisor to administration manager. That is a new management level. That is a new management, or the level. Now we have to talk about the level, not the position. The level is middle management. Sorry, it's a middle management. That is that. We know that middle management, they are responsible for specific departments and implementing strategic plans, because Yeah, like she was promoted from supervisor to administration manager. So that is that. Now let us come to 3.22. Explain responsibility on managerial level identified. So it is about the middle management, the responsibilities of the middle management, responsibilities of middle management. So middle management is responsible for a certain function in the business. So they are responsible for a specific function. For example, HR manager oversees recruitment. That is specifically they oversees what HR recruitment. That is that. They are heads of different departments. So heads of department. For example, sales manager leads the sales team. Sales manager leads the sales team. Also, they make medium-term tactical decisions that focus on how the business will carry out strategic decisions. So they make medium-term tactical decisions. For example, planning quarterly marketing campaigns. So that is that. They turn tactical decisions into action. So those tactical decisions, they can now turn them into action. They implement staff training programs. That is what they do. They implement strategic plans of top management. So that is that. Uh, Also, they monitor activities in their departments to offer suggestions and feedback to top management. Meaning to say, for example, they review monthly performance reports when they monitor departmental activities. They do have meetings with lower management and communicate strategies to them. So they meet with lower management and communicate strategies. So they hold meetings with supervisors. They motivate and encourage low-level management. So meaning to say they encourage supervisors to meet deadlines. They ensure that lower management carries out its function efficiently and that resources are used effectively. So they ensure efficient use of resources. For example, control departmental expenses. They put mechanisms in place to meet short-term objectives and long-term goals for the department. So that is that they put mechanisms in place to meet short-term and long-term goals. So, for example, setting monthly targets aligned with annual goals. So that is that. Also, they link top level managers and lower level managers. So that is that. That is when they are, for example, reporting departmental performance to executives. So that is that. So now let's quickly go to 3.4. 3.4 read as follows. Discuss the risk management as one of the management tasks. Discuss risk management as one of the management tasks. So that is that. So here we are on risk management as one of the management tasks. So risk management. So risk management, it says it identifies possible risk by finding risk-bearing activities. That is activities which could go wrong within the organization. They identify possible risk. For example, recognizing risk of fire in a warehouse. So that is that, recognizing risk of fire in a warehouse. They assess business to analyze each possible risk to assess how likely it is that the risk will happen. So meaning to say they analyze the likelihood of risk. For example, assessing probability of equipment breakdown. So that is that. They evaluate the potential impact of risk in terms of financial liability so that measures can be taken to prevent it from happening. So meaning to say they evaluate financial impact. They evaluate financial impact. For example, estimating cost of replacing damaged stock. That is that. They control or monitor the risk by studying reports and trends in the environment so that the measures can be taken to prevent from happening. So here we are saying they monitor risk and environment trends. So they track market changes that may affect the sales. They handle risk by determining what actions to take. What actions to take should the event happen, using the available resources and contingency plan, contingency plan and communication with stakeholders. So many here we are saying they handle risk using contingency plans. For example, taking insurance to cover potential losses. So that is that. Now we are to attend to question 4. We are to attend to question 4, whereby the question 4 says, outline indicator of human resource function. So we are to outline the indicator of human resource function. So now we come to the answers. Quality indicators of human resources. So the first one is that the recruitment policy should attract the best candidates for available posts within the business. So recruitment policy attract the best candidates. So the business must design recruitment process that is going to appeal to skilled and suitable applicants. That is that. HR should follow the fair and equitable selection processes. So fair and equitable selection process, it simply says all applicants must be treated equally without discrimination. So that is that. Also, a low rate of staff turnover in a business. So few employees leave the business, indicating job satisfaction. So that is that. So again, a healthy relationship between employees and employers is maintained. So it can be maintained through positive communication and mutual respect that is going to exist in the workplace. Also, market-related salaries should be offered. So here, market salaries are offered, like salaries are competitive compared to similar business in the industry. So that is that. When we are talking about market-related salaries. So for example, that is where you are paying engineers according to industry salary benchmarks. Get that straight. Fair remuneration packages that are aligned to industry should be provided. So fair remuneration packages aligned with industry. So total rewards, like top of salaries and benefits, are competitive and reasonable. So that is that. The performance incentives for staff should be offered to increase productivity. So here we're talking about the incentives now. We are talking about what? Incentives, that rewards are provided to motivate higher productivity. So you can pay bonuses to sales staff who exceed targets. That is that. The HR manager should work towards building a good relationship with employees. So HR builds good relationship with employees. So many HR actively supports and communicate with staff. Ensures that employee understand the goals and objectives of the business. So that is where workers are informed about the company's mission as well as the targets. Understand the interrelatedness of different departments. So here we are to understand the relatedness of departments. That is where HR recognize how departments depend on each other. So that is that. So let us quickly go to 4.2. 4.2, which says identify the sources of finance. Identify sources of financing applicable to each of the given scenarios. So we are given the scenarios. We are given the scenarios on 4.2. The business arranges with the bank to withdraw more money than is available in the bank account. The loans must be paid back over a fixed term, which may not exceed 5 years, which may not exceed. So you can see with this first statement, 4.1, the business arranges with the bank to withdraw more money. Once you throw more money than what is available in the bank account, that is a bank overdraft. This is a bank overdraft. Bank overdraft. A bank overdraft That is a short-term credit facilities allowing the business to withdraw more money than available in its bank account. For example, the business overdraws 50,000 to pay suppliers before receiving customer payments. That is that. But with this one, which says the loans must be paid over fixed term, which may not exceed 5 years, that is a short-term loan. This is a short-term loans. These are the short-term loans, which you know that these are the borrowed funds that must be repaid within a short period, usually less than 1 year. So that this way, for example, you take a 6-month loan to purchase your stock or your inventory for peak season sales. So that is that. So these are our answers. As you can see, the sources of financing from given scenario, bank overdraft, like we've already talked about, as well as short-term loan. So now let us go to another question. This was 4.2, and then we are to be on 4.3. 4.3 now. Discuss the purpose of stock control. The purpose of stock control, and then we go to answers. Purpose of stock control. Purpose of stock control. They said that it is to determine at any stage without physical stock taking the number and the value of stock. So determine quantity and the value of stock without physical counting. That's what we are saying. So the stock records show available inventory at any given time, at any time. For example, the system shows 200 units remaining in the warehouse. So that is that. Also, the purpose of stock control is to ensure sufficient stock to meet normal demand for customers at all times. So this is to ensure sufficient stock to meet the demand in short. So this will prevent stock shortages. Thank you. Let us move on. Compare the stock on the shelf with the stock records to detect the obsolescence and theft. So that is that, whereby you compare shelf stock with records to detect theft or obsolescence. So you identify discrepancies and outdated products. So that is that. For example, discovering missing items during stock comparison. So that is that, good people. So now let us attend to 4.4. 4.4. So 4.4, we are to differentiate between quality control and quality assurance. We are to differentiate between quality control and quality assurance. So now let us attend to it. So here we are on 4.4. So this is quality control, quality assurance. So quality control, inspection of the final product to ensure that it meets the required standard. Meaning to say, we are saying inspection of final products to meet standards. For example, checking a finished clothing for defects before sale. That is that. Also, it says it includes setting targets of measuring performance or taking corrective measures. So it means, for example, rejecting a defective product after inspection. That is when you set targets, measure performance, and correcting errors. But with quality assurance now, as it says, the inspection is carried out during and after the production process to ensure required standards are met at every stage of the process. So here, inspection is during and after production process. For example, monitoring each production stage in a bakery. Also, it says it ensures that every process is aimed at getting the product right the first time and prevent mistakes from happening again. So that is that, whereby you ensure processes prevent mistakes and products are correct the first time. So you are training workers to follow strict production procedures to avoid defects. So that is that. So now let us go to 4.5. So here we are on 4.5. Recommend the impact of National Consumer Protection Act, CPA, on businesses. So that is that. Now we come to our answers on that. 4.5. Impact of national consumer protection on business. So that is where we are now. So we are first going to start with the advantage. Once we are saying impact, it means now we are talking about advantage and disadvantage. So starting with the advantages for business or of National Protection Act is that it enables business to resolve disputes fairly through a consumer court. So we're talking about resolve disputes fairly through consumer court. Business can settle complaints legally. For example, a customer complaint is resolved without going to high court. Get me straight. Business may build a good image if they ensure that they do not violate what consumer rights. So they build a good business image. That is when they comply. We're talking about compliance. So know very well compliance improves reputation. So that is that. So now let us move on to our other points. Also, a business may gain customer loyalty if they comply with CPA. So here we're talking about gaining consumer loyalty. So customers return to business that protect their rights. So that is when they can make repeat purchases. So that is that. Businesses are likely to have court cases against them for consumer rights violations. So here we are saying fewer court cases. We're talking about fewer court cases. Why are we saying fewer court cases? Because if the business is following the act, this is going to reduce legal disputes. Following the act reduces legal disputes. Business may be protected if they are regarded as consumers. Protection as consumers. If they are regarded as consumers as well, they can be protected. That is when you're talking about business buying from suppliers are also protected. So that is that. They, for example, may claim for defective equipment purchased from other suppliers. That is that. They may be safeguarded from dishonest competitors. So that is when we are saying this act, it simply says it promotes fair competition. Mean to say, for example, competitors cannot use misleading advertising. Prevents larger business from undermining smaller ones. So it ensures equal treatment in the market. So that's that. So like we've said, when you're talking of impact, you're talking about advantages and disadvantages. So now we have to attend to the disadvantages of a consumer protection act on business. So now we have to do about the drawback of this act. As it says, faulty items may be replaced or repaired or money refunded if the fault occurs within 6 months after purchase. So here we're talking about replacement, repair, refund within 6 months. So this increases cost if products are faulty. That is why it becomes what? A disadvantage. Consumers can take advantage of business and return goods when it is not necessary to do so. So there are those consumers who may abuse return policy. Some customers may return goods unnecessarily. For example, returning a product after a minor use without a valid reason. So that is that. Processes and procedures required of business can be expensive and time consuming. So processes are expensive and time consuming. Compliance requires administrative effort. So it's a time consuming. It is also expensive. Some business feel unnecessarily burdened by the required process. So business feel burdened by these regulations because of the increased legal responsibilities. Penalties for non-compliance may be very high. So here, high penalties for non-compliance. So business may face heavy fines. So that is that. Business need to train staff and consult legal experts, which can be expensive for smaller business. So that is that when you're saying we're talking about training and legal consultation costs. So staff must understand these legal requirements. So this is very expensive. For example, hiring a legal advisor to review policies, then you have to part ways with the profit of the business. That is an expense. That is why it is a disadvantage. Provisions in the Act increase the risk of unforeseen claims and lawsuits. So here we are talking about increased risk of unforeseen claims, more potential lawsuits. So that is that. Administration costs increase as legal contracts need to be worded in a plain language. So here, in short, we are saying higher administration costs due to plain language contracts. So document must be simplified and reviewed. So that is that. So this is the end of this presentation. Make sure that you are going to share with others, and there is an essay that is already been discussed, so you can as well go through of the same paper. So thank you very much for your time. I thank you.